and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
Time now for the O'Reilly Update message of the day. On this Monday, after Joe Biden was elected president in 2020, many of his detractors, those who voted against him, focused on allegations of voter fraud. They believed Donald Trump won. You'll remember it was mania. Well, we watched the situation and reported it with precision, not speculation. Mr. Biden then assumed office. I had little confidence in his ability, and I stated that. I was proved correct. Second worst president ever in my estimation. But along the way, I was not rooting for President Biden to fail. I wanted him to bring down prices, to get a ceasefire in Ukraine, to seal the southern border. My stance was, as an American, to root for the president to solve problems. Of course, Joe Biden let me down big time. Today, in the corrupt media, many want President Trump to fail at everything. Deporting migrant criminals, uncovering wasteful spending, getting Putin to stop killing people. Angry partisans are hammering Donald Trump on every single issue. They want things in America to get worse so he will suffer. I believe that's anti-American. No question in my mind. Those haters are rooting against their own country. And that is the truth. I'm Bill O'Reilly. I approve the message by writing it. You can reach me, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, name and town if you wish to opine. Now let's go to the mail. Kim Lewis, Arvada, Colorado. After reading your weekly column, I wondered, did you have any interaction with David Perdue, the ambassador to China, during your visit? I did not. I wasn't representing the Trump administration. I had nothing to do. All I did was a courtesy debrief for the president when I came back, which is my obligation as an American citizen. But I wasn't tied in to any, political party or anything like that. Rex Price, Georgia, just wondering why you didn't put Hillary Clinton in your book, Confronting Evil. You know, Rex, perspective is very important in life. Perspective. Mark Longhofer, Lenexa, Kansas, just finished listening to your interview with Major Garrett on CBS. What a wonderful exchange between the two of you on Confronting Evil. It's a shame more networks don't have you on to discuss the book. Sure. And there's no reason, absolutely none, other than Trump hatred. John Howard, Fort Worth, Texas, just bought a copy of Confronting Evil. It's great. Every day you mention many of the 15 horrible individuals you write about. I'm curious about the semifinalists. You know, we looked at Saddam Hussein, Pol Pot, but their evil was local, didn't transcend like these 15 do. Diane Brega, Mainville, Ohio. I want to thank you, O'Reilly, for saying if we renew our membership early, we receive Confronting Evil right away free. My membership renewal is December, but I didn't want to wait, so I renewed. You are a smart woman, Diane. Just renew and you get the book free. Come on. You know, it doesn't matter when it's up. Get the free book. You'll like it. In a moment, something you might not know. Cold and flu season coming on up. We all know it. And it really is nothing to take lightly. So when people start getting sick all across the country, medications disappear. Everybody wants it at the same time. So it's very, very smart to have a pharmacy you can count on, like All Family Pharmacy. Right now, they're helping Americans get ahead of the curve with 10% off antibiotics, antivirals, other essentials. You know how important it is to have the right meds when you get sick. particularly when your kids get sick. You don't want to be going into the doctor's office, spending all the time. You want to have them at your home. So if you have a few months supply, you don't have to worry. And that's what we're doing here. If you believe in medical freedom, okay, and taking care of your family, as I do, this is the pharmacy for you. So please go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use code BILL10 to save 10%.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have health news, a CDC update.
Pneumococcal vaccination is now recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just one dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
Now, the O'Reilly Update brings you something you might not know. 63 years ago today, a riot broke out at the University of Mississippi. The chaos continued for 3 days, ending when President John F. Kennedy deployed troops to stop the carnage. Here is the story. In 1954, the Supreme Court designated segregation in Southern schools a violation of the Constitution. Despite that ruling, many institutions refused to comply. 7 years later, an African-American vet named James Meredith applied to the University of Mississippi, commonly called Old Miss. He was initially admitted, but later denied when the registrar learned he was Black. A federal court ordered Old Miss to admit James Meredith, but the government instructed local police to block the doors to the college. On September 30th, 1962, Meredith, accompanied by U.S. Marshals, tried to enter the building. A riot ensued. 2 men were killed. To quell the violence, President Kennedy deployed 3,000 U.S. soldiers to patrol the campus. On October 2nd, Meredith began attending classes. He graduated in 1963 with a degree in political science. In 1966, James Meredith returned to the public eye when he began a civil rights march to encourage voter registration. During that walk, he was struck by a sniper's bullet in the neck. He survived. Martin Luther King Jr. continued the march on his behalf. Mr. Meredith continues to work for the advancement of Black Americans today. He is 92 years old. And here's something else you might not know. The nation remains divided over the deployment of federal troops to American cities. President Trump has threatened to dispatch soldiers to Chicago, Memphis, and other places stricken by violent crime. A recent poll from CBS found 42% of adults think the president should use troops to combat urban violence, but 58% oppose. Trump, however, is going to do it anyway. Back after this. If you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles and have an auto warranty about to expire or have no warranty, listen up. Car Shield is a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan. It's now available to the public. You can save out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Please call Car Shield now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. 800-881-0365 for a free quote. This protection plan is at an all-time low price. Drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. So please call for your free quote. 800-881-0365. 0365. 800-881-0365. Hey, what do you have to lose? 800-881-0365. Thank you for listening to the O'Reilly Update. I am Bill O'Reilly. No spin, just facts, and always looking out for you.
News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Sauer from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu say they've agreed to a plan to end the war in Gaza, but it's unclear whether Hamas will accept the terms. Trump on Monday laid out a 20-point plan for ending the Israel-Hamas war and establishing a post-war Gaza governance. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says this is as good a Mideast peace proposal as both sides will see.
Ultimately, the president knows when you get to a good deal, both sides are going to leave a little bit unhappy, but we need this conflict to end. The president's made that very clear. He wants to see the killing stop.
Trump's plan would also establish a temporary governing board that would be headed by Trump and include former British Prime Minister Tony Blair. Trump says Israel would have the full backing of the United States to take steps to defeat Hamas if it doesn't accept the proposed peace deal. Authorities are looking into why a 40-year-old shot and killed 4 people and set fire to a Michigan church.
Authorities identified Thomas Jacob Sanford, a former Marine sergeant from Burton, Michigan, as the suspect who smashed his pickup truck into a crowded Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints service Sunday morning in Grand Blanc Township. Police Chief William Renee says Sanford opened fire and used an accelerant to set the building ablaze.
Total victim count up to 4 victims.
2 officers pursued Sanford as he left the church and exchanged fire.
The suspect, who is deceased as well. So we have 5 deceased persons from this tragic incident.
I'm Jennifer King.
An attorney for the 22-year-old man charged with killing Charlie Kirk has asked the judge for more time to review the large amount of evidence. Prosecutors have charged Tyler Robinson with aggravated murder. On Wall Street, the Dow by 68 points, more at townhall.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
My debt problem started probably about 2016. I needed my life to change financially. I called Trinity and I ended up joining based on high credit card bills and high interest rate. And my counselor at Trinity has been great, and Trinity has been helping me to get on the right path of paying off these credit card bills, bringing down the interest rate. They have consolidated my bills into one low monthly payment. And now I am finally getting out of credit card debt. So I just want to say thank you, Trinity, for showing me a better and greater path.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Sharon, and soon I will be debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
The U.S.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. More mild mornings and warm to hot afternoons. A low 66 Tuesday morning. Mostly sunny skies and a hot one again. A high of 89. The record is 93 from 1952. We'll have light winds with that sunshine, though, and another dry day. And the dry weather continues for Wednesday, but we do see a little more cloud cover Wednesday, partly to mostly cloudy. That'll help bring the temperatures down just a little bit, 86 for the high. Still a warm and above normal day for Wednesday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
This Labor Day, we honor the hard work that builds our families, our communities, and our country. At Snooze Mattress Company, we believe everyone deserves rest that restores, recharges, and rewards the work you do every day. Starting September 5th, save up to $725 on top brands like Tempur-Pedic, Serta, and Beauty Rest. Plus, experience Dream Mapping, our way of helping you find the perfect mattress tailored for you. Proudly local, grateful for your hard work, here to help you rest well, because if you don't snooze, you lose.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michaels has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michaels Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
You know what's going on?
Have a great awakening.
You see through the smoke screen.
It's cool to be woke. News Talk STL.
Until it's not.
News, analysis, opinion. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here? As a former leader in the House, I think you could put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Under the plan, Arab and Muslim countries have committed, and in writing in many cases, but I actually would take their word for it. The people I mentioned, I'd take their word for it, to demilitarize Gaza, and that's quickly. Decommission the military capabilities of Hamas and all other terror organizations. Do that immediately. And we're relying on the countries that I named and others to deal with Hamas. And I'm hearing that Hamas wants to get this done too, and that's a good thing. And destroy all terror infrastructure, including the tunnels, weapons.
And almost as if we planned it, huge international news for Monday's edition of the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show with Senator Jim Talent joining us at 4:25 to break down and analyze this potential for major peace in the Middle East. Chris, if Donald Trump doesn't win a Nobel Peace Prize for this, I don't know what it would take.
If he can pull this off and this deal comes to fruition, he should win the Nobel Peace Prize. Color me skeptical, not because President Trump doesn't have excellent negotiating skills. He's dealing with Hamas, and they are bloodthirsty killers, and I can't see them wanting to leave power. I think Benjamin Netanyahu should do what he said at the UN, completely annihilate them. I'm skeptical about the hostages because that is their really only leverage. And I hope this deal comes through, but I am skeptical.
A huge victory would be to simply get the hostages back. If everything else does not come to fruition, and why would it after 2,000 years of fighting in that region? But if they can get the hostages back, which they said that was the main focal point of this, alive, and unfortunately the ones are deceased. That would be a huge victory. And if you notice, Netanyahu definitely left the door open. And every single comment he made today, he basically said, but if this doesn't occur, we're going to continue to do what we need to do.
And usually what we've seen in the past when Israel has been willing to negotiate and what Hamas wants in order to let go of some of the hostages, they usually want some of their own people back. And the ratio is never really equal. If Israel releases or if Hamas releases 2 hostages, Hamas wants 100 prisoners free that have committed atrocities over the years. So it won't be an equal trade. That's just not how Hamas and these militants operate.
Jim Talent will give us his expert opinion as to all this. We'll see what Jim thinks about this deal and if it can come to fruition or not, and what aspects that leaves then for the rest of the region. Notable that all the Arab states have signed off on this. Apparently everybody's tired of Hamas and the Palestinians, except for the UN. The UN can't get enough of them, but the UN did, and a huge victory for Israel. There was a resolution passed, I think, over the weekend, basically condemning Iran for one of the first times in a long time. So nice to see the UN finally take the side of the good guys.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why the Arab states are in favor of this peace deal, because Hamas and Hezbollah are basically proxies for Iran. And as we said many, many times here, the Iranians are not Arabs, they are Persians, and they practice a different type of Islam than the Arab countries do. So they see them as what they are, the biggest threat to peace in the Middle East. And they would be happy to defang Iran.
We'll also ask Senator Talent about the potential Schumer shutdown, which is scheduled to go into effect as of tomorrow. They're arguing about whether or not illegal aliens and Joe Biden COVID-era incentives for Obamacare should get back into the CR that was passed by the House many weeks ago. It appears that most Americans have figured out that it is not Republicans holding this deal up, but it is the Democrats. And yet the Democrats can't seem to get their factions together in D.C.
And that is actually going to be part of Chris's Corner at 445, Tim. There is a new poll out that shows which party wins during a government shutdown this time around, and it may be surprising. We'll have that at 445.
Big Chris's Corner about the Schumer shutdown at 445. Speaker's stump speech at 5:07. I am going to be talking about going woke, going broke. We have another example of that came out as well over the last few days. You'll learn what that is at 5:07. And of course, Susie Moore, Deputy Managing Editor, Red State, redstate.com. She's also the host of Red State Radio here every Sunday at 4 p.m. Susie will bring to us all the latest and greatest Red State headlines. There's always a ton of news to unpack on Monday afternoon as you're all getting off work and running around town. 5:45. We will prepare you for Larry Connors USA. He has got a couple of exciting guests and topics, including the often maligned, dreaded, and annoying John LaBoutier will be on the show tonight. So
I wonder if Larry pays him, because he's on like quite often. He annoys everyone. I'm just joking, Larry, if you're listening. I know that they are good friends, and John and Larry is what politics should be, even though they disagree on major issues. Even Joe LaBoutier claims he's Republican. They're still good-natured and good friends, and that's what politics used to be and what we need to get back.
LaBoutier is must-listen radio, because the last time he was on, LaBoutier surprised me. He was agreeing with Larry on everything and even had nice things to say about Donald Trump. So isn't that amazing? And at 5:45, we'll bring you up to speed on everything you need to know we may have missed. Chris, I don't know if you had anything particular on your mind that you were going to bring up during that segment.
I am. 5,000 new words were added to the Merriam-Webster's Collegiate Dictionary. We'll go over a few of those at the end of the show. And Joey's got a clip he got for me. President Trump has proposed new tariffs, and it's something that Joey is very interested in, where the tariffs are going to be placed.
Oh, fantastic. We're here with you on the second to last day of September.
Amazing.
This Friday will be October the 3rd, and Chris and I will be live on location. Once again, we're taking the show back on the road, and this time we're heading to St. Charles County. We're going to be at the new Stone Ledge Distillery, hopefully sampling some Stolock whiskey and some Inversion vodka. And producer Joey V will be hauling the whole jalopy wagon over there like he did down to Jeffco last week.
Don't forget your duct tape this time.
We're going to have our good friend Mark Sutherland, the proprietor of that fine establishment, on Wednesday. And we're going to ask him if we can take a ride in the Inversion jet. I don't know if you guys remember, but they had the air show out there in Chesterfield. And some competing radio station DJs got to take a trip up in the jet, and we weren't asked. Maybe it's for the best. I bet they blew chunks up there.
They might have.
That's a bucket list of mine. Yeah. I want to take a trip on an F-15 or one of those jets and see what it's like. Jack Jackson, who all of us know, he used to be the main test pilot for Boeing. I asked him a few years ago, I said, hey, kind of jokingly, like, hey, I'd like to go up in one of these planes one day. And he was like, yeah, sure. Just let me know. So I don't know if he was just joking. I don't know if he was just joking or not, or was serious, but that is a bucket list of mine. If anyone is listening, Chris Arps would love to fly in an F-15.
I'd like to know how much they charge per pound a person is for fuel. Like if you're a 300-pound guy, does it cost more than me? 150.
I don't think a 300-pound guy will fit in that cockpit.
Probably not. So. Colonel Jack Jackson was the test pilot for the F-18, the F-18, and for the Harrier jump jet, which is one of the hardest planes in the world, I understand, to fly.
It's loud.
That's the one that takes off and up and down, straight up, can go. It can go right. It can basically take off and land like a helicopter, and it's a jet. And I saw Jack pilot that aircraft once at the air show. It used to be out at Chesterfield. And it is very loud, as you said.
Very loud.
And it is impressive. And man, It is the sound of freedom when those things go
Mhm.
screaming over.
Mhm.
They did a flyover yesterday at the Ryder Cup, Bethpage Black up in New York, and it was almost enough for a incredible, historic come from behind U.S. victory. But the Europeans just barely edged out the U.S. Let me tell you, the Ryder Cup was god awful for the first 2 days. The Europeans just destroyed the Americans, and then the last day, the Europeans were losing every single singles match until the very end, and they just barely pulled it out. I just want to say, I think it's notable to point out it takes an entire continent to beat one United States of America, and just barely.
Tell me this. I was reading this in my Wall Street Journal this morning that a lot of the American spectators were heckling the Europeans. I saw a picture of them having big, giant pictures of Europeans, their heads, and they were heckling them during the match. Did you hear about that?
You ever been to a New York sporting event?
Yeah.
They do this every day.
But it's golf, and golf is supposed to be so gentlemanly.
Doesn't matter.
You know, you're not supposed to clap, and supposed to clap very softly.
Except
and
the Ryder Cup.
All right.
Except the Ryder Cup. Actually, there's 2 tournaments. Have you ever watched the one out in Phoenix, the Waste Management Open?
No.
That is they call that a party that just happens to have a golf tournament in the middle of it. It is a massive, they do things there I can't even describe on the radio. And they have this one hole, it's a par 3, and they basically build a stadium around this par 3. And there's people drinking and throwing beers and having a good time, hooting and hollering. So there's 2 golf events, Chris, where yes, the patrons aren't as polite as most golf tournament matches. And that would be the Ryder Cup events and then the Waste Management Open out in Phoenix. But they're pretty rowdy at the Ryder Cup. And then you put it in New York City.
Yeah.
And you're going to get like the roughest fans in the sporting world.
Exactly.
So.
And speaking of a rough weekend, Tim, we had another shooting over the weekend in Michigan. Some crazed nut drove his pickup truck to a church of Latter-day Saints church, rammed through, killed 4 people, 9 people were injured, set the church on fire. One thing that I noticed was really, really strange yesterday. I listened to the Sunday morning shows, so you guys don't have to. I listen to them rather than show them. Tim, the only Sunday morning show that mentioned that incident in Michigan was Fox News. All the other ones completely ignored it.
Unbelievable.
Yes. I was like, this is a major story. Ignored it. Didn't cover it. Nothing.
Why didn't this fit the narrative, do you think?
I don't know. I mean, they described the guy. He had a pickup truck. He had 2 American flags that were flying on it.
Well, you think they'd be all over that?
Yeah, you would think so. And something too with these shootings that we've been having lately, you haven't seen the calls of gun control like you usually do in these shootings, and I find that very, very curious.
Yeah, I do too. Maybe people are realizing it's not a gun problem; it's a people problem.
Yeah.
And I heard Gabe this morning describing this event as something that you used to hear about decades ago. He said this individual, this defendant, and he died, right?
Yeah, the police killed him.
Yeah. So he didn't fit the mold of the last many shootings we had. He was somebody more like from the 60s or 70s, right? An older, crazy white. Remember we used to have the Ted Kaczynskis of the world? This was like one of those guys. It was like a throwback thing. And maybe that's why, Chris, the liberal media didn't know what to do with this because it was so unusual.
I mean, it was bizarre. I was every show that I listened to, I was like waiting for them to bring up this incident. And I'm like, it happened early enough that these shows could have covered it.
Yeah.
Fox News was the only one that covered it. CNN, ABC, CBS completely ignored it.
Well, Chris, you reminded me of something that we promised our audience we would start doing on Monday afternoons, and that was give the shooting and death report from Chicago.
What is that?
CBS News. CBS News reporting, so you can blame this if it's wrong. Blame them if it's wrong. CBS News reporting that 4 were killed and 12 were injured in Chicago weekend shootings. And I haven't seen a single protest yet today about that.
You will not see a single protest, but very interesting. I'm going to cover this in Chris's Corner, that the Democrats are starting to realize that crime is a Achilles heel for them.
A problem.
And there are a number of big city mayors and blue state Democrats that are beginning to get tough on crime. And we'll also have that involved in Chris's Corner as well at 4:45.
Fantastic. You heard producer Joey V there. He is back in studio today. Joey, did you get your wagons of equipment back from the hideout?
Oh, of course. You know what they have over there at Johnny's Hideout is
Hideout.
Oh, just the hideout.
Just the hideout.
Who said it wrong first? Was it me?
I think
Yes.
you.
I'm the worst. My goodness. Well, what they have over there is a lot of entertainment, and it never stops. So as soon as we were done, the band was setting up behind us. So I had sales guy Ethan help me pick up our 2 tables and just immediately move it into the audience section so I could break down and the band could set up. And I know they were appreciative of that.
I had a quick dinner inside with the EOFs
Yeah.
and some of our young Republican friends and some of the young folks who help run Americans for Prosperity and the guy who does the Turning Point chapter in Jefferson County. They all joined us. And then after we left, I was like, why is there nobody inside here? It was kind of weird for Friday. They were all outside. The Sunset patio was packed at Chris as I was leaving with the fine sounds of Dazed and Confused echoing across the
Speaking
hinterlands.
of that, I don't know if you guys remember during our broadcast, and I told you guys that I was distracted. Who was the woman who was very, very well endowed that was in front of us and that was blowing kisses at everyone and all of that?
That is one of the famous hideout bar mistresses.
Is that correct to say she's very well endowed?
Well, it's a fact. Yeah.
I was like completely distracted trying to do the show.
If Rick or Jake are listening, they can. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. Ashley, nice young lady, was speaking with us, but that was one of the other ones, one of the other barmaids.
She had a very colorful outfit on. It was kind of rainbowish. Not saying it was LGBT or anything. It was a rainbow color outfit, and
Yeah, it was
very nice.
It was very
Nice.
distracting.
Yeah, it's very
indeed.
distracting.
Yeah. So we'll see if Mark Sutherland dances for us.
That's not her.
This Friday.
I think it is Brandy.
Joey's got a picture.
Brandy? It might be. I think it is Brandy. Yeah.
Joey's got a picture.
I can't
of
see
her.
her around the
Was
corner.
is that her?
I think that's Brandy. Yeah.
I was checking out the Hideout Sports Bar Facebook page.
So Brandy, thanks for the entertainment.
Thank you, Brandy.
Yes, we enjoyed it very much.
Yes.
Our wives are going to have something to say to us when we get home now.
Remind me of, remember back in the day, her name was, I think she died recently. Her name, no, she's still alive, Jorgana. And she would run out on the field. She was very well endowed herself. And she would like kiss ball players. And she would run out on the NBA court and hug them and kiss them. And of course, she'd be arrested afterwards.
Of course.
But she made a little career out of that. She was like a celebrity.
She was an influencer.
Jorgana, I think it was her name.
Influencer.
I only
before
know
there was
Busty
influencers.
Hart.
That
She got in
too.
trouble at the Cardinals game. She got thrown out for indecent exposure.
Well, she
even
stole
though-
that from Jorgana, though. She
I
used to do
can't
that in the
even
70s.
spell the name you're saying. Jorgana.
Jorgana. But she was very famous in the 70s. She kissed Steve Garvey, the great Los Angeles Dodgers first baseman.
Oh, okay. All right. More streaking news when we come back.
Yes.
We're going to talk to a guy who will not want to discuss any of that with us, but he will discuss international affairs, foreign policy, and the impending Schumer shutdown, as they're calling it, up on Capitol Hill. Senator Jim Talent, he knows a thing or two about all of those matters and more. He'll speak with Chris and I next on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Thanks for joining us here on what's always a Manic Monday show, 1019, 94.1 News Talk STL.
It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. More mild mornings and warm to hot afternoons. A low 66 Tuesday morning. Mostly sunny skies and a hot one again, a high of 89. The record is 93 from 1952. We'll have light winds with that sunshine, though, and another dry day. And the dry weather continues for Wednesday, but we do see a little more cloud cover Wednesday, partly to mostly cloudy. That'll help bring the temperatures down just a little bit, 86 for the high. Still a warm and above normal day for Wednesday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris. How are you, Vic? I don't want to put anybody else down, but when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need, understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com. IronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsIronBearCustomsI
Customs has the strongest bumpers on the planet, plus brush guards, lift kits, and custom cages for all vehicles. Visit IronBearCustoms.com and mention Newstalk STL for 10% off. Iron Bear Customs, built tough for the toughest terrain.
Discover Patriot Powder Coating, your family-owned specialist in Pacific. From small jobs to big projects, we got you covered. Visit our showroom or call 636-551-0377. Mention Newstalk STL for 10% off.
Hi, I'm Rodney Wallner.
And I'm Jen Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Jen, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission plan?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What's the best time to sell your home?
Right now, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
News Talk STL. This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening, but they fought with expert timing.
You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
From funky Chinatown, they were chopping them up, they were chopping them down. It's an ancient.
If Hamas agrees to your plan, Mr. President, the first step will be a modest withdrawal, followed by the release of all our hostages within 72 hours. The next step will be the establishment of an international body charged with fully disarming Hamas and demilitarizing Gaza. I appreciate your willingness to lead the body, Mr. President. I really appreciate it because you have a lot of things to do, and this is important.
426 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show, and there you hear Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu with the president today in the White House talking about the president's 21-point plan to end the war in the Middle East. Let's get our next guest on the line to learn more. Former U.S. Senator Jim Talent and chairman of the Reagan Institute.
I'm watching this and just wondering, who's running the show.
This Jim Talent segment is brought to you by Royal Banks of Missouri.
Senator, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Hey, I'm fine, guys. How are you?
I cannot complain. Senator, we hear about this 21-point plan the president has proposed to bring peace there in Gaza. I have to tell you, I'm a little skeptical. Usually when Hamas, if they do release hostages, it's almost like a 50-1 deal. They'll release one hostage and they want 50 of their people back. And the hostages are really their only leverage for them. Your overall thoughts on it? Do you think this deal is doable?
Well, it's doable if any deal is doable. But it's highly likely that no deal is doable. How's that for you? It's a very pro-Israeli deal. In fact, it's going to be really interesting to see how the Europeans do it or respond to it. I'll explain. Okay, so Israel gets out of this the immediate return of if this were agreed to and carried out, they get the immediate return of the hostages. Hamas surrenders and disarms. Gaza is then administered by an international commission appointed by not the UN, not the Europeans, by the United States, which means by Donald J. Trump, right? Mm-hmm. This commission then creates a security force that'll be international in nature, and I think it anticipates mostly Arab, the conservative Gulf states, which will de-radicalize the population. And Hamas will have the choice either of leaving, they'll be allowed to leave, or in essence, taking a loyalty oath to peaceful coexistence. I want to see video of that if that were to happen. So Hamas is going to reject this, very, very likely. They get out of it prisoners, you're right. But the Israelis are willing to do that. I wouldn't, but they are. And then they're a quote unquote pathway to statehood. So as I said, it'll probably be rejected. Bibi is going to be open to it because I think it helps. It's going to reverse the polarity of international opinion. In other words, how do the Europeans who have said, oh, we want a Palestinian state and we want Hamas to disarm and return the hostages? Well, that's what this deal does.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think it may actually be an off-ramp for them, a way for them to get out from under what they've done, this really stupid cascade of recognitions of Palestine. And Bibi is going to agree because, as I said to you guys in the show before, there's only one person outside of Israel whose opinion Bibi cares about, and he was sitting next to him today. So he's not going to just turn this off. He's going to, at minimum, be open to it.
Senator, there was just a quick follow-up. I've also read that there may be a little domestic politics involved here for Bibi. The right-wing coalition of his government has said that if he strikes any deal with Hamas, that they may, end the government, leave the coalition.
Yeah, that's true, and it's he has said he's not recognizing a Palestinian state, and almost everybody in Israel agrees with that, by the way, because remember, they've tried that. They left Gaza. They created a Palestinian state, if you want to call that a Palestinian state, and then they were immediately attacked. Hamas built this gigantic tunnel system, acquired all these missiles from Iran. So nobody in Israel wants that. But Bibi has dealt with these right-wing parties before, and he can convince them to be open enough to this to satisfy Trump. As I said, I can't see Hamas agreeing to this. I think it's a very smart move. I like it. And as I said, if you're going to get an agreement, it has to look like this. It has to look like this for the interests of Israel, the interests of the United States in a stable region, not dominated by terrorists, and really the interests of the world, which should want a stable region as well. Now, under what conditions might Hamas agree if the alternative is extermination, which is what's happening right now, because Israel is tightening the noose on Gaza City.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Senator, it's almost as if Trump and Netanyahu, in their game of 4D chess here, have declared checkmate not only on Europe with its ridiculous recognitions of Palestinian statehood, but also on Hamas, right? Because as you said, Trump has laid out this extensive 21-point plan that seems very reasonable in scope. And I heard Netanyahu literally say this twice, it's complete with a Netanyahu escape hatch, isn't it? Where he said twice right in front of Trump, and Trump did not flinch at all. Well, Mr. President, we're going to give this our best shot, but if Hamas doesn't live up to it, then we'll finish the job by ourselves. So
right.
They've kind of called the question on this, haven't they?
Yeah, on the hostages, it's the one deadline set in it, and I've looked through it. I haven't, really read it and assimilated it yet. The one deadline I saw was the hostages have to be returned within 48 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Well, once they give up the hostages, then you see their leverage over Israel is really gone. So yes, Netanyahu, I think, would take that deal, and then the details would be worked out in further negotiations between Hamas, Israel, and the United States. So that means Israel and the United States will control anything that might further be agreed upon. And I think Netanyahu trusts Trump, that in this case, Trump's view of our interests and what we want is very similar to Israel. I should say also, if the Qataris and Turkey pressure Hamas enough, that would be a factor in this. They might agree to it, and we don't know what's going on behind the scenes with them.
Speaking with Jim Talent, former U.S. Senator and chairman of the Reagan Institute's National Leadership Council. Last week, President Trump, some would say, did a complete 180 on Ukraine. He said that the Ukraine could probably get all of their territory back and could potentially win the war. We're also hearing that the U.S. is deciding to possibly send Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. That's been a no-go for the United States because those missiles, of course, would reach Moscow, and there is fear of escalation there. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, they have a range of 1,500 miles. And if I were Putin, I would not be confident in the ability of the Russian anti-air defenses to shoot them down either. No, I don't view this as a switch. I think Trump's wanted the same thing all along. He's wanted a peace agreement along the lines of the Russians get to keep some amount of the additional territory. They have conquered an additional part of Ukraine. It's equal to about, I guess, the size of West Virginia, something like that, for their million casualties. And Ukraine gets security and sovereignty. That's been Trump's bottom line from the beginning. He got Zelensky in line. He hasn't been able to get Putin to the table for reasons that we've talked about. So now he's increasing the pressure on Putin. I think this was inevitable. You didn't know what exactly tactically what he was going to do, but it's clear he's sending the message to Putin that this war could get a lot worse for Russia. And the fact that the vice president mentioned this and said this was coming likely, and that Keith Kellogg agreed with that, he's the envoy to Ukraine, to me tells me this is very serious. So, and Tim mentioned the president's playing four-dimensional chess. I agree that these are smart tactics in the service of a common sense strategy. The only reason, Tim, we think of this as four-dimensional chess is that we have not seen a purposeful and intelligent foreign policy for so long. Mm-hmm. So it's, in a sense, it's tactically, the president has a lot of options and plays them the way he wants to. But I just see the common sense purpose behind this. So we'll see what Putin does now. He doesn't want to come to the table. If he comes to the table, I think he's going to have to agree. The logic of negotiations are going to push him to an agreement. And once he comes to an agreement, he in essence then has to take the L. He has to acknowledge that this war has been a disaster for Russia, because he's going to have to go home and explain why they suffered all these strategic forfeits and all these casualties, and why the Russian army was exposed as a paper tiger in return for a few more square miles of Ukraine. And the answer is it's a disaster for Russia, and he doesn't ever want to have to admit it. As long as the war is going on, he can still posture as a major player.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Senator, you brought up a point that I heard someone else discussing today, and I think you just underlined it and highlighted it. How refreshing is it to see? I mean, today we had the President of the United States being the leader that we expect him to be, whether it's Donald Trump or somebody else. Donald Trump was what we would think of in past decades as a typical American president leading on the stage. It's just for the last 4 years, we saw or didn't see any of this leadership at all, right, Senator? I mean, this is what an American president is supposed to be doing, bringing world leaders together to try to resolve conflict. And you do that from a position of strength, not from a position of weakness, or in the Biden situation, a position of just being completely absent, right?
Yeah, I agree. It's a purposeful foreign policy. He's pursuing American interests with defense of the homeland, hence the attacks on the drug cartels, the right of Americans to move, trade, and travel in the world on the same terms as everybody else, hence the protection of the shipping lanes against the Houthis, right? And then an acceptable stability, an acceptable equilibrium in key parts of the world. So he's trying to get the war solved in Eastern Europe. It's not good to have this major war going on in Eastern Europe. It's not in our interests. He's trying to get the conflict in the Middle East solved, but in a way that leaves a coalition which is friendly to us dominant in the Middle East. Israel, the Gulf states, Jordan, Egypt. See, to me, it makes sense on a strategic level. And I'm willing to give a president like that a lot of running room in terms of the tactics he chooses to use. I mean, different presidents do that in different ways. Mm-hmm. Trump relies a lot on economic power and, frankly, on diplomacy, which, you normally you don't think of in terms of them. You look at the personal diplomacy he's doing. And he's very choosy about using military power. Sometimes I think Tim a little too choosy, but he's the president. I'm not. And I certainly can't crime a man, who doesn't want to use the military, to go out and have to kill people. I mean, I think war really offends Trump. I really do, on a personal level. and he tries not to engage in it. But when he does, when it's necessary, he'll do it. And I tell you what he did to Iran is a proof that's going to reverberate through the rest of his term. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to question his threats anymore.
Senator, a couple of years ago, we did a great event with you and a member of the Heritage Foundation, one of their military experts, on just how unprepared the United States is right now in terms of our shipbuilding capacity, missiles, the like. The Pentagon is encouraging, according to the Wall Street Journal, is encouraging missile suppliers to double or even quadruple the production rate of weapons in the U.S. can store for a possible conflict with China. Do we have enough missiles?
No, not for something like that. I don't want anybody to panic. I mean, in a steady state type situation, or in a situation where the wars we're dealing with are ones where we can time it, so we can build up and we can anticipate, and we're in what the Pentagon calls a non-competitive environment. We're not going up against a peer competitor. We're okay. Okay, but if we had a war in Indo-PACOM with China, we wouldn't have a 3-week supply of missiles. Now they've appropriated $25 billion in the big beautiful bill, which is good as a start. And we could talk for an hour about how we got to this point. There's a lot of reasons, but the biggest is that we haven't been buying them. Last year, Biden proposed, I think, the Biden budget allowed for, I think, 130 of the Navy Standard missile. Well, Reagan in the 80s, he used to order 10 times that number. And when you're the only customer and you're not buying, your suppliers reduce their capacity. They can't sell, so they reduce. And so we don't have the industrial base now. And the other thing, we need to build that up. But the other thing we need to do is we need to build up our capacity to use cheaper means of taking down airborne threats, in particular drones. We don't want to be shooting down drones with F-35s or with $10 million missiles. So it's too expensive. So they're working on all that. It is hard. The more the ball gets rolling, though, the faster it'll roll. This is something where the initial stages are very hard, and then you begin to pick up momentum. So that's what Hegseth was doing. And I can tell you, I mean, they are totally focused on building up our defense industrial base, and which is exactly what we need to do. So I'm hopeful we won't get it where we need to be, even throughout the president's entire term. You can't fix something that was broken over decades in a few years, but we can make a lot of progress.
Senator, your quick thoughts on the biggest domestic issue of the week, and that would be what many are calling the Schumer shutdown. Senator, do the Republicans hold the upper hand this time, given that the House passed its funding of the government many weeks ago, and that the president is a Republican at this point in time, and that the messaging on this has seemed to be pretty consistent over the last many weeks? What do you think?
Yeah, and that it's the Democrats who want to attach extraneous things to it. And I think that's usually been the key politically, is the American people don't want the government shut down over protests about extraneous issues. In this case, I guess it would be the Obamacare subsidies, which won't run out until the end of the year. And then they want to reverse the Medicaid cuts. And Thune and the others are right in saying that part of those Medicaid cuts were saying, no, we're not going to pay for Medicaid for people who are here illegally. So unless Schumer has something up his sleeve I don't see, and maybe he does, this looks like a loser to me for the Democrats. And that's even apart from what Russ Vought is saying, that, look, if you shut the government down, I may just lay off a bunch of people, which it's the Democrats who won't like that. I mean, I'm fine with it. So I don't know what the Democrats are planning. I've been through this 10, 30 years ago, and it's not very pleasant. I can tell you that. So again, we'll see how this works out. But I think I agree with what you just said.
And Senator, the third thing on the Democrats' hostage list is they want to put back that $4.5 billion in rescissions that the president was able to get. They want that money back in as well.
That ain't happening. They want to refund, I guess, PBS and all those other things. No, I mean, that's not happening. But the Republicans are saying, look, we're passing the appropriations bills for once. And they are. They actually have passed a number of them. And we want another, 6 weeks to finish that process. And it's really surprising to me that the Democrats won't agree to a short-term CR. Now, on the other hand, this is a situation where their base, the progressives, are screaming that they have to fight Trump. And maybe Schumer's just saying, look, last spring I agreed to this and you all roasted me for it. I'm talking about his own party. And this time I'm not throwing myself under the bus to save you from yourselves. So maybe that's his logic. Probably is.
And that's Jim Talent, former U.S. Senator and chairman of the Reagan Institute's National Leadership Council. He's on X at Jim Talent. Senator, thank you for being with us, and we'll speak with you again next Monday.
Thank you, guys. You guys go get them this week. I know you will.
Thank you.
Yes, we will.
Thank you. 20 years after I worked for him, I still can't call him Jim.
And he probably tells you to.
He'll always be senator to me forever. All right, Chris's Corner coming up. We are going to discuss a new poll that shows which party is going to win during this government shutdown. It may surprise you. 5:07, we'll have the Speaker Stump speech.
Yep, we're going to talk about going woke, going broke. We have a new edition.
And then, of course, at 5:24, we'll speak with Susie Moore, Deputy Managing Editor of TheRedState.com. Chris's Corner coming up on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Here comes the big boss. Let's get it on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. More mild mornings and warm to hot afternoons. A low 66 Tuesday morning. Mostly sunny skies and a hot one again. A high of 89. The record is 93 from 1952. We'll have light winds with that sunshine, though, and another dry day. And the dry weather continues for Wednesday, but we do see a little more cloud cover Wednesday, partly to mostly cloudy. That'll help bring the temperatures down just a little bit, 86 for the high. Still a warm and above normal day for Wednesday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Is one of the bigger school districts on the Missouri side trying to sneak a property tax increase past most voters? We'll tell you about that on Tuesday.
Mornings starting at 5:30 on News Talk STL.
Parents want more choices rather than fewer when it comes to their children's education. And now some Missouri parents will have one more option to get their children the best education available. Low-income students and those with disabilities in Missouri's largest communities can now apply for an Empowerment Scholarship Account, or ESA. With an ESA, the money the state would normally pay to your child's public school goes into an account that you control. You can use the funds for private school tuition, online learning programs, a private tutor, or other approved uses. You can tailor your child's education. For too long, Missouri officials have operated on the mistaken notion that parents only need one choice. They're assigned public school based on their address. ESAs put parents in charge. It's school choice at its best, with money following the students to the place that best fits their needs. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. This Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. We have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters. One call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010, extension 3 today, or visit colecombs-law.com.
For 20 years, Harpo's Chesterfield has been the heart of West County's fun, with our award-winning patio, voted best in West County, and excellent sports bar atmosphere. Our mouth-watering menu has made us famous throughout St. Louis. Plus, we've got great drink specials and the friendliest, most energetic staff around. Whether you're dining in or carrying out, Harpo's delivers fun, food, and drinks like no one else. Harpo's Chesterfield. Call 636-537-1970 or visit harposstl.com.
I'm Missouri Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. Human trafficking is modern-day slavery, and it often hides in plain sight. Be alert. People who seem fearful, isolated, or who don't have their ID or money may need your help. To share a tip, call the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 888-373-7888. Together, we can protect victims and stop trafficking in Missouri.
Paid for by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
Remember those magical moments in Mom's kitchen? The heavenly aroma of fresh baked cookies? At Trolley Stop Bakery in Chesterfield's Forum Shopping Center, our co-op of talented bakers has been perfecting that homemade magic for 4 decades. From the gooeyest cookies in town to custom pies, cobbers, and cakes, everything's made from scratch, just like Mom and Grandma's recipes. Need that perfect corporate gift? We ship our famous cookies nationwide. The Trolley Stop Bakery, 67 Forum Shopping Center, or TrolleyStopBakery.com. Because some traditions are too sweet not to share.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Leaders in Oregon are suing the Trump administration to stop the deployment of National Guard troops there. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has ordered 200 National Guard troops to Portland to fight crime. Oregon's governor says the president isn't cooperating with local leaders.
When the president and I spoke yesterday, I told him in very plain language that there is no insurrection or threat to public safety that necessitates military intervention in Portland or any other city in our state. Despite this, and with all evidence to the contrary, he has chosen to disregard Oregonians' safety and ability to govern themselves.
451 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. Tim, let's just break this down here.
I'm confused.
For more than 115 days and nights, these militants, Antifa, have been colliding chaotically with the police, ICE agents, all that. 115 days, and the governor and the mayor of Portland have not been able to get this under control. I think that is more a detriment to the citizens of Portland than the president sending National Guard troops up there to quell this. Also, too, they say that these are peaceful protests. Nothing are happening. They're not against the government. At one time during these 115 days, they rolled a guillotine to the front of an ICE facility. But it's peaceful.
You
right?
can't hide your lying eyes, as we often say. Chris, are we supposed to disbelieve all of the footage that we've seen for the last, not just year, the last, 8 years?
Yeah.
Antifa and the lunatic left has been literally targeting, attacking. They had an entire city, the Chaz Chop Zone.
Yeah.
Are we supposed to just forget about all that? What about the attacks on the federal buildings? Wouldn't that be called an insurrection, according to the left?
And how can you say you have everything under control when this has been going on for 115 days? I'm not good in math. That's about 4 months, isn't it?
Things are burning down. They're being looted. Chris, there's story after story about famous stores that were in Oregon, Portland for decades are closing up shop. I asked a friend of mine who's from that area. I said, is this just overblown? And he goes, no. He goes, no one lives in downtown Portland anymore if you don't have to.
Exactly. 2 stories before we get to Chris's Corner. One, Governor Mike Kehoe signed into law the new congressional map today, so that is good news. And over the weekend, Tim, Mayor Eric Adams of New York announced that he is dropping out of the race. So one more to go. I think they want Sliwa out as well, and so they can have a one-on-one between Mondami and Cuomo.
Can you believe those are the options?
Poor New York. We're sorry for them, but I think pretty soon, Tim, we're going to be saying Mayor Mondami, communist, Marxist mayor of New York. All right, Joey, let's do a little Karner.
Chris.
And if you don't know,
Now you know.
And now, Chris's Corner.
You know, as we said, usually with government shutdowns, the Republicans lose the PR battle with this. And this time around, it looks like the Republicans should be on top of this. The Republicans have passed a clean CR, as Senator Talon said earlier. They have not put anything in this continuing resolution that the Democrats would disagree with. But of course, the Democrats want to add their liberal wish list onto this 7-week bill. And as Senator Thune said yesterday on one of the Sunday shows, look, we are trying to do our work. We're trying to pass appropriation bills. All we're asking for is a 7-week extension to try to do our work and get all these appropriation bills done. But of course, Democrats want to add all this superfluous stuff to it. All right, Tim, and I'm not following this poll at all. A new Morning Consult poll, and this was shared with Playbook this morning, reports that 45% of voters are more likely to blame Republicans if there's a shutdown, compared to 32% blaming Democrats. That's a 13-point margin. Says the split gets wider when looking at just independent voters who are more likely to blame Republicans by a 17-point margin. The poll surveyed 2,202 voters last week. And I think when they conducted this poll, they did not pose the question correctly, which the Republicans are. Republicans' talking points are basically we want to extend this for 7 more weeks to do negotiating, and the Democrats want to add health insurance for illegal aliens. I think, especially since Donald Trump has been doing very well on the immigration and border issue, I think once Republicans frame it like that, I think this poll will probably flip and be the exact opposite. You know, speaking of Chicago, Tim, you gave the weekend death toll. Dozens of armed federal agents patrolled downtown area yesterday, Sunday, in a show of force. Also, too, I remember we got the meme from someone in our News Talk STL group. The FBI agents who were kneeling during the racial justice protests for Mr. Floyd, George Floyd, they were fired. And they said that their kneeling was not in solidarity with the protesters. Their kneeling, Tim, was to try to downplay the situation, try to quell the violence. That's why they were kneeling, not showing any type of solidarity.
Interesting.
Senator Chris Murphy of Democrat from Connecticut has spent nearly $1 million from his political fund to grassroots groups fighting the Trump administration, including $100,000 to Indivisible, the group that organized the nationwide No Kings rallies. You would think that he would want to use that money to help his fellow Democrats win elections next year, especially since we know that the polls show them, the public does not view them very favorably, but he's spending his money on anti-Trump rallies. Very, very smart. And that is Chris's Corner. Tim, Speaker Stone Speech at 507 again,
We're going
sir.
to talk about another example of going woke, going broke.
And at 524, we'll speak with Susie Moore, Deputy Managing Editor at RedState.com. She has an article about the shooting at the Michigan church, and she has an article about the potential shutdown happening Wednesday. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL, number one for live and local conservative talk.
Hi, Sean Long from STL FenceWorks. A new fence or deck is an investment in your home and your lifestyle. But how do you ensure that you're getting the most out of that investment? At STL FenceWorks, we know the key is satisfaction. Satisfaction means getting a fence or deck that not only meets your needs, but exceeds your expectations. Satisfaction means working with a team that cares about your project as much as you do. Satisfaction means having confidence in the quality of your new fence or deck, knowing that it was built with the best of materials and workmanship. STL FenceWorks, your satisfaction is our passion. And for me, satisfaction is knowing that providing for your family is how I provide for mine. Visit STLFenceWorks.com and experience the satisfaction in making your backyard dreams into a reality.
Now, the Free Market Minute, brought to you by the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
Hey, it's Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show. I am here with Dr. Grant Black. And Grant, entrepreneurship, it's one of those buzzwords we hear a lot about, But is entrepreneurship really important to the economy?
It definitely is. Entrepreneurship is a consistent contributor to economic growth. It creates new products and services that people value. It creates the new businesses that provide them. It fosters innovation that improves productivity, and it increases beneficial competition. It generates jobs, income, wealth mobility, and even tax revenues that all support and enhance communities. Entrepreneurship matters, so we need to help it thrive in all our communities.
The John W. Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University fosters and examines market-oriented approaches to economic and social issues. To learn more, visit hammondinstitute.org.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Charlie Kirk's accused assassin, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, appeared in court today. Utah Judge Tony Graff advises the attorneys in the Kirk shooting case to be on their best behavior.
Counsel, regardless of who is watching, whether it is the nation or a single individual, we must fulfill our roles with integrity, civility, and diligence. I encourage each of you to give your very best to this case. Neither Mr. Robinson nor the people of Utah deserve anything less than the fair and impartial administration of justice.
Robinson's next appearance in court is October 10th. Ukrainian President Zelensky condemns Russia's most recent aggression against his country.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has accused Russia of trying to hit Ukraine with a blackout after a massive strike on Sunday targeted multiple regions, killing at least 4 people and injuring more than 80. Zelensky adds that intelligence indicates that Russia's using its shadow fleet of tankers to launch and control drones against European countries. He wants the Baltic Sea closed to limit this shadow fleet activity. Several European countries in Northern Europe have experienced unexplained drone activity. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu have agreed to a plan to end the war in Gaza, but it's unclear whether Hamas will accept the terms. Trump laid out a 20-point plan for ending the Israel-Hamas war and establishing a post-war Gaza governance. Trump's plan would also establish a temporary governing board that would be headed by Trump and include former British Prime Minister Tony Blair. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 68 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Dinesh D'Souza went into a war zone to make his new film, revealing never-before-seen footage of October 7th. The film offers a new way to understand Israel, radical Islam, anti-Semitism, and biblical prophecy.
Could the fate of the world be tied to this place?
Dinesh D'Souza's new film, The Dragon's Prophecy, is in theaters 2 nights only, October 6th and 8th. Streaming and DVDs available October 9th. All tickets and pre-orders at thedragonsprophecyfilm.com. Thedragonsprophecyfilm.com.
Hi, Rhett Rasmussen of BestHotGrill.com. Step up your grilling game with our Solaire portable infrared grills. Our compact everywhere is a favorite of RVers and trailer pullers. Solaire infrared provides the quick sear for bar marks and texture needed to properly finish sous vide. Use a portable alongside your larger conventional grill to create an instant sear zone and more juicy and flavorful food. Learn more at BestHotGrill.com. Affordable, powerful, portable infrared grills at BestHotGrill.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. More mild mornings and warm to hot afternoons. A low 66 Tuesday morning. Mostly sunny skies and a hot one again. A high of 89. The record is 93 from 1952. We'll have light winds with that sunshine, though, and another dry day. And the dry weather continues for Wednesday, but we do see a little more cloud cover Wednesday, partly to mostly cloudy. That'll help bring the temperatures down just a little bit, 86 for the high. Still a warm and above normal day for Wednesday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here? As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws. It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years, and we must do more to stop it.
And the younger listeners in our audience are asking themselves right now, which Republican leader is that? And the answer is former Democratic President Bill Clinton from Arkansas. My Chris, how times have changed.
You know, there was a phrase that was coined during Bill Clinton's presidency. It was called triangulation.
Yes.
And what that meant was that Bill Clinton took a lot of the issues that Republicans were for and made them his own and passed bills and said that he was in charge of that. And also, Tim, I think we have to put this clip into context. This was a 1995 State of the Union address. Year before Republicans took over the Congress for the first time in many, many years. And this was the beginning of Bill Clinton triangulating.
Yes. Barely 30 years ago, Democrats sounded like Republicans when it came to illegal immigration. And then, Chris, you reminded me that many years after that, Barack Obama, not too long ago, still sounded like Republicans now on illegal immigration. And Republicans always used to do pretty well on illegal immigration. There was a period of time where they got a little soft on it during the George W. Bush years, and they took a lot of grief during those years, but they were trying to solve the problem of what do you do with the millions of people who are here? Do you give them a path? Do you not? Do you deport them? And then when Joe Biden basically opened the floodgates and just allowed an invasion to come through, Chris, I think a Republican said, enough's enough. If we don't stop this and turn the tide back, our nation's going to get overrun with this soft coup, basically.
Yeah, I saw a clip today, 2012 Democratic presidential debate. Candidate Barack Obama at the time was castigating George W. Bush, saying that he allowed all of these illegal immigrants into the country. And my, oh my, how things have changed. So also, too, he was for marriage between a man and a woman at that time, too. One last thing. I think whoever would have won, what other Democrat would have won the presidency in 2020, we would have seen this overload of illegal immigrants coming into the country. Because you remember during that presidential debate, all of them were asked a question: do you believe in decriminalizing illegal border crossings? Every single one of them raised their hands.
They all raised their hand.
All of them raised their
And
hands.
it's because Democrats are losing support amongst actual American citizens. And we were all called a bunch of racists by daring to suggest that Democrats are trying to import new voting blocks. This is exactly what they're doing. So many blue collar people are being pulled away from or not being pulled. They're running away from the Democratic Party because they see something in Trump that they like. And they also don't like most working class blue collar Americans tend to be small C conservatives. They may never admit they're Republicans, but as we've talked many times, Chris, many people, voters of color, working class voters, they like to go to church on Sundays. They don't want their kids to be surgically mutilated. They don't want to deal with all this transgenderism stuff being shoved down their throats. They don't like being forced to do things against their political or their religious beliefs. And so not only is Trump being appealing to them, but Democrats are pushing them away. And so Democrats have seen this over the last decade or more. And so they're like, well, we got to get some new voters in here. And so that's what they did. They opened up the floodgates. And I would love, and folks, you can use this. You can talk to your liberal friends and say, so do you believe with Bill Clinton's stand on illegal immigration back in 1995? Do you believe with Barack Obama's stand on illegal immigration in 2012? And when they say yes, they say, well, did you know that they were opposed to illegal immigration? And then ask them what changed, besides wanting new voters.
Ronald Reagan was once asked famously, why did he leave the Democratic Party? And he said, I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me. Former Senator Joe Manchin from West Virginia said a similar thing a couple of weeks ago. He has a new book coming out. And he said the Democratic Party is basically left me. I'm not going to leave the party because I'm like a sixth generation West Virginia Democrat. But he says the Democratic Party of the day is not the Democratic Party of his ancestor.
And what's really horrible is, and the reason we point these things out to try to save Democrats from themselves is we don't want any Americans, no matter what political party they belong to or don't belong to be hurt. And Democratic policies are hurting Americans. The open borders policies, the soft on crime policies, right above your head, Chris, Newsmax headline, John Rich is talking about all the weekend shootings that occurred in urban Democrat-run America. So we don't want Democrats to necessarily fail while Americans are getting hurt. You know what I mean? It's like it may be politically good for Republicans, but nobody wants these policies to be seen anywhere. So it's like we have to save Democrats from themselves.
And we've seen that during the presidential election, especially this last one, where the union leadership, of course, supported the Democratic Party, but the rank and file union members, they overwhelmingly supported Trump.
Indeed, they definitely do. Now, if the rank and file could just get the bosses to stop spending 90% of their political funds on Democrats, then we'd have something to talk about.
Right to work.
Sure, absolutely. Chris Arps, Tim Jones, producer Joey V. Welcome to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show Monday edition. It is September 29th, 2025, 5:12 in the PM. We have another great event coming up this Friday. We're going to be at Stone Ledge Distillery out there in beautiful Defiance, Missouri, and Joey will be with us as long as he doesn't get caught behind the bar drinking all the Stolock whiskey and the Inversion vodka.
Yeah, we're going to make some own cocktails. I don't know
I
what.
like it.
Everyone talks about this Thunder Steel or Kin's drink. We need to have the Tim and Chris drink. I mean,
we do.
Probably
wonder
like
what
a
that
White
would be.
Russian. Yeah.
I wonder what that would be.
We'll think
Tim,
of something.
I am anxious to go out to Stone Ledge because you've been out there before for a Nick Schroer event, and I'm told it is absolutely stunningly beautiful. I can't wait to see it.
It's a cool spot out there in God's country. Chris, we had a ton of events this past weekend. One of them was the annual St. Louis County Lincoln Reagan Days. You were the MC again this year. We had the big news talk table. Chris, while you were up MCing, a ton of people came over and spoke with all of us. We had lots of fans there at that big event. And Chris, the main keynote speaker, Joseph Ziegler, was fascinating.
And I got to tell you too, when I gave a roster of all of our shows and everything, Larry Connors got the biggest applause of everyone, which
don't let it go to your head, Larry.
Which made me happy. But yes, we had Joseph Ziegler. He was the whistleblower that blew the whistle on Hunter Biden and all of his shenanigans. He has a new book coming out with the Gary Shapley, his fellow IRS agent. He also said that any of the money from that book will not be going to them personally. It will be going to help whistleblowers blow the whistle on government waste. And we are looking to have him on the show here in the coming weeks to talk about that book. Very interesting keynote speaker.
Very cool indeed. Last Friday, we were out at the Hideout. Thank you once again to Rick Pogue and Jake Kessner and Ashley for their hospitality. We were out there on the Sunset stage right before Dazed and Confused took over from us. What other things do we
You
have?
forgot our friend, the Brandy.
Brandy.
Don't forget Brandy.
Chris, listener, Joey's giving you the evil eye. Listener and super fan Craig, who listens to us every day, just emailed me and said, I believe Chris is speaking about Morgana.
Morgana, that's right. Not Georgiana. I'm sorry, but where did I get Georgiana from?
Well,
Morgana.
He had a funny comment about that. He said Morgana was the one who hugged and kissed the baseball players, and he actually gave me a little clip, a reference to her. And he said Georgiana was the one who moved the Rams to St. Louis.
Oh, yeah. Georgiana Frontiere, I think her name was.
Frontiere, yes, indeed. So
2 boobs.
Thank you. Thank
Oops,
you.
Did I go there?
He sent a clip. He sent me a Reddit clip. Oh, yeah, there she is. Holy smokes. My goodness. Yeah, you were right about the assets.
Yes.
Morgana, the Kissing Bandit, she was called.
She's like 72 or 73 now.
This was from 1988. Morgana, the Kissing Bandit, plants one on Cal Ripken Jr. as he steps to the plate. And Cal knew what was coming. He leaned down and kissed her back. I think that's very funny.
She got famous. I mean, she did that at baseball games, at basketball games, football games, just everywhere. She's very famous for doing that.
And there she is, one of the Baltimore's finest, hauling her off. So there you go.
You know, speaking of, there was a guy. He would dress in a athletic uniform, whatever team was playing. And his mission was to get on the field and pretend he was a player. And he was very, very successful at it. He would dress up as an NBA player. He'd get out on the court until somebody figured out, hey, this dude's not a player.
So he'd just be walking around.
Exactly. And he would get out on the court. He would get out there in the dugout and stuff until the police came and arrested him.
That's hilarious.
I forgot. Hey, I know there's a listener out there who remembers that person. Text us and let us know who that was.
Thank you, listener Craig. We appreciate you very much.
Thank you, Craig.
Thanks for listening to us every day. Maybe Craig's listening on the app. You can listen to us on the app, which is great because that means you can carry us with you wherever you might go, anywhere in the heartland or beyond. You can listen to us literally on the other side of the road. Chris and I were listening to the station. We were in Israel.
Yes.
I think I heard Ken and Vic talking about a listener that was listening in Germany or something. So you literally can listen to us anywhere on the planet. It's a great app. It's a lot of fun to use. Lots of great stuff on there. You can access all of our podcasts. Download the app. It works on Android. It works on iPhone. It works on everything. News Talk STL. Everything we do is one word, News Talk STL. I just looked at our website. All of those events that we've been talking about throughout the show, including this Friday's live remote at Stone Ledge, including the photos, several photos from our last few events, including upcoming events, salesman Ethan's car, the Vic for Vets honor roll, all that stuff is right at the top of the website. And Joey, I think, is the one that's responsible for making that look as gorgeous as it does. You part of that?
Yeah,
program?
if anyone wants me to put their dating profile up, let me know. I'll get that up there for you.
And the app is on CarPlay, so you don't have to pull it up and everything. It's on your CarPlay automatically.
It's very cool indeed. My goodness, I got so distracted with everything. I almost forgot the speaker stump speech. I think we better fire that off right now. Today's theme, once again, go woke and you go broke.
Listen to me, listen to me.
I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius.
It's time for the Speaker's Stump Speech, sponsored by Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com.
And I'm going to paint a broad brush with this because I think go woke means a lot of things when you're talking about today's left-wing lunatic, godless, commie, Marxist Democrat Party. And I don't say that to be Pollyannish. I say that to be absolutely factual because honestly, that's what most of them are, with maybe the exception of John Fetterman, the U.S. Senator from Pennsylvania, who seems to be the most sane person in the room, and he's the one that had the stroke. Glad that he got so much better, and apparently is got his head screwed on right in the right direction because he's the one that seems to be talking the only good common sense. So first of all, this one's easy, and maybe you all saw this coming. So liberals and leftists were celebrating last week when all of the ABC affiliates, primarily Sinclair and Nexstar, decided to unsuspend Jimmy Kimmel and place him back on the air. So the leftists were like, his ratings are going to spike now, and everybody's going to tune in. They're going to want to hear what he has to say since he was suspended. Well, they did spike, and they did tune in for all of about 48 hours. Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel heading back into the dumpster fire trash can of time. After that very brief suspension, well, the ratings hike was brief as well, and maybe even briefer. On Thursday, so Jimmy Kimmel, I think, came back Tuesday, right? And he had a big, giant jump, right? His ratings shot way up, and everybody tuned in Tuesday. Maybe they hung around for Wednesday. Guess what happened by Thursday? Jimmy Kimmel was back down to averaging, and this is the entire nation, right, of 40 million people, 2.3 million total viewers, a 64% drop from the 6.5 million who tuned in on Tuesday. So the Trump bump for Kimmel was extremely brief and short-lived. Ratings dropping 64% from a Tuesday high to a Thursday low. Kimmel shed even more viewers in what? The coveted demographic. Well, that's adults age 25 to 54. Thursday's episode, get this, hemorrhaged 73% of viewers age 25 to 54. Plummeting, it went from 1.7 million in that key demographic down to under 500,000.
Wow.
Just 48 hours later in the key demographic.
Wow.
500,000, just to put that in perspective, is half the population of the county of St. Louis. That's all that was listening to Jimmy Kimmel across the nation. Now, guess what? Even amongst you would think younger viewers would be the ones tuning in, right? Everybody, the stereotype is younger people, more liberal, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? Kimmel lost an amazing amount of younger viewers as well. On Tuesday, he had an estimation of 1.2 million young people. That's 18 to 49. So that's a big, wide age gap, but that's the younger folks, 18 to 49. 1.2 million on Tuesday. By Thursday, he lost 73% of the younger demographic down to 334,000. So I guess the only people still listening to him are the crazy old nutty liberals. I don't know. Because he lost a huge amount of viewers amongst the young folks, and he lost a huge amount of viewers on the 25 to 54 group as well. So where do they go from here? I guess back into the toilet tank. Jimmy Kimmel was really hemorrhaging viewers before the suspension. He had a very brief uptick, and now he's returned back to where he was, if not even lower. And I think a lot of this is because people like Jimmy Kimmel, they're just talking about the wrong things, and they do it in a very nasty fashion. And this dovetails into what's going on up in Washington, D.C. Folks, I agree with what Chris said. I think if Republicans continue to pound the messaging on the continuing resolution as to what the Democrats want, then I think Americans, a lot of them might change their mind about blaming who they're going to blame for the shutdown. Mm-hmm. Here's what Democrats are trying to force Republicans to do. Provide free health care for illegal aliens. Provide $500 million in taxpayer funding to prop up liberal news outlets. So they want to refund PBS. They want a $50 billion cut in investments for improving rural health care. So wait a minute. Democrats hate rural health care? I would hammer them over the head on that because they always do that to us on the healthcare issues. And, of course, they want billions of dollars in funding restored for DEI and climate projects, not in the United States of America, but in foreign nations around the globe. Get that messaging out, beat them over the head with it, and make Americans know who's really holding who hostage. Go woke, and you'll make Democrats continue to go broke. And that's the stump speech for today.
I mean, they basically want to add $1 trillion to a 7-week spending whip bill.
It's ridiculous.
It is.
So get that messaging out there, and I think you'll win a lot of people over. 5:23 in the Heartland. That's time for Chris and I to take another quick break. Producer Joey will bring us right back here in just a couple of minutes, and we'll speak with Susie Moore, Deputy Managing Editor, RedState.com. She's the host of Red State Radio every Sunday here at 4 p.m. We've got reports of there were reports of the active shooter and fire at the Michigan church. This from the weekend.
I thought it was like something else new.
No,
I'm like,
not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of. Don't hold your breath, right? Unfortunately. She's going to give us the latest, Chris, on that horrible, bizarre shooting and fire. And ahead of the meeting with Schumer and Jeffries, the White House lays the blame for the potential shutdown at the feet of the Democrats. All that and more, Susie will break down and analyze next. Tim Jones and Chris Harp Show. 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. More mild mornings and warm to hot afternoons. A low 66 Tuesday morning. Mostly sunny skies and a hot one again. A high of 89. The record is 93 from 1952. We'll have light winds with that sunshine, though, and another dry day. And the dry weather continues for Wednesday, but we do see a little more cloud cover Wednesday, partly to mostly cloudy. That'll help bring the temperatures down just a little bit, 86 for the high. Still a warm and above normal day for Wednesday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Temple.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Vic.
You know, when you need a roof, I don't want to call a stranger. I want to call you.
Yeah, thanks. At Connor Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company.
How long have you been doing it?
Since 1993.
And year after year, storm after storm, you guys are always there.
Because this is our home too, Vic. Our kids go to school with your kids. We cheer for the same teams. Go Blues!
So support your neighbors. Call Connor Roofing at 314-375-7475 or CONNER roofing.com.
Thanks, Vic.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
You better get on board. Tail shaking, feeling running on. The since you got loose on the night you was born, cranking it up in a school song. Kick it out. Come on, kick it out. Chase it, kick out your motor and drive while you still alive. Kick it out.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL.
As I said, I'm here as the governor, but I'm also here as a fellow Michigander whose heart is breaking by another mass shooting in a place that is supposed to be defined by togetherness, in a close-knit community here in Grand Blanc. As a state, we know the pain of this too well. We've seen gun violence in our schools, stores, parades, festivals, and our houses of worship. These are places that we go to feel connected, to feel safe, to be together. But today, this place has been shattered by bullets and broken glass.
Well, and you've also just seen violence in general. So how about we focus on that and not the inanimate object? Let's bring in our next guest who's covering this story and many more.
Oh, Susie Q, baby, I love you. Susie Q.
I'm the boss. How about that?
Yeah, every Monday afternoon, she joins us. She being Susie Moore. She is, of course, Deputy Managing Editor of RedState.com and the host of Red State Radio, heard every Sunday at 4 p.m. here at News Talk STL. Susie, good afternoon. Hope you had a great weekend despite all the tragic news that you had to cover.
Yeah, I'd say it was probably a mixed bag, Tim. I mean, obviously, it was nice to enjoy the beautiful weather that we had this weekend. Got out and did some, enjoyed Oktoberfest in St. Charles on Saturday with my handsome beau, and got some pool time in yesterday. But yeah, the news wasn't great, and it's, never pleasant to be covering tragedies such as what unfolded yesterday in Michigan.
Susie, you've been covering that, and we know you have because we look at redstate.com. And do you have anything? Give us the latest on this and any details that we need to know at this point in time heading into Monday evening.
So the latest is that they think everybody's been accounted for now. Of course, there was a period of time where they weren't sure because the fire that was set by this man after he drove his vehicle into the church and began shooting made it very difficult for them to get to, where some people they were afraid might have been trapped. At this point, the death toll stands at 4. There are, I want to say, close to 10 others at least injured. It's just a horrific situation. The attacker has been identified as somebody with very strong anti-Mormon sentiment, which I'm not sure I understand that mentality, but okay. And he was from a nearby town, and I think there's still a lot to learn about what prompted him to do this. And I know that the authorities are looking into it, but it's just horrific. And it's just yet another attack on a house of worship, which we're seeing a very disturbing uptick in those. And it's very concerning.
We've seen lately with these mass shootings, these lunatics leave manifestos to tell the world why they did this. Is there any mention of any online writings or a manifesto that they found or anything, or they don't know yet?
I haven't seen anything like that specifically referenced here, and I want to push back. I mean, this is going to sound like a semantic argument, but if we're going to start having people calling for tougher gun control in response to this tragedy, I would like to point out that this man did a ton of damage with a vehicle and fire, and reportedly had IEDs, designed to explode too. So this wasn't just about using a gun, although a gun was used. And, I keep going back to the point is, we can rail at the inanimate objects all we want, but no, that fire didn't set itself. That gun didn't shoot itself. We need to really look into what is going on that is inspiring people that are, I guess, obviously, psychologically troubled to act on that and in such violent, horrific ways.
Yeah, Susie, such a great point. I mean, if we're going to be talking about gun control and banning guns, I guess we got to talk about truck control and banning trucks and bomb control and banning everything that goes into making these homemade incendiary devices. I mean, how about we focus on the individual issues and the culture of violence that we seem to have? I don't care what mechanism is used, Susie. We have violent people, dangerous people doing dangerous things, don't we?
Yeah, we do. And it's interesting what you just said was really kind of pretty close to what Charlie Kirk had said, which has been one of the big talking points of the left in their attempts to smear him after his assassination was, when he made the analogy between, deaths caused by car accidents, by vehicles, and saying, there's however many, I think 50,000 or so deaths in the United States due to car accidents every year, but we're not trying to ban cars. And I think his overall point was, in a free society, which we ostensibly want to have, there are costs and risks associated with everything. And you have to look at those rationally and decide, do the sort of cost benefit analysis and kind of be clinical when you're looking at it. not just make policy running willy-nilly based on emotion.
Susie, unless there is a last minute deal, the government, of course, is scheduled to shut down on Wednesday. Usually Republicans lose the PR battle when it comes to shutdowns, but I think the Republicans have a very strong hand. But I read a poll earlier in the show from Morning Consult that's showing that 45% of voters are more likely to blame Republicans than Democrats. Your thoughts on that?
Well, Republicans always get the blame no matter what, whether they're in the majority or the minority, no matter what their reasons are for however they're voting on it. So I think we have to kind of get past that and get over that. They do have the upper hand here. They've the House has passed a clean CR. And the Democrats are trying, to somehow insist that in order for there to buy in the Senate, we need to add back in $1.5 trillion of spending that the Republicans stripped out because that's what they were voted into office to do. So, I mean, if the Democrats want to play this brinksmanship game, I guess they can go ahead and do that. Maybe it'll work out for them. Maybe the Republicans will lose the PR battle. We're kind of used to that at this point. The bottom line is there's no incentive here for the Republicans to do anything other than what they're already doing.
Yeah, Susie, I mean, if you flip the tables around and do exactly what you just said and ask the question from the other way, why should the Republicans accept funding for illegal alien health care, right? Why should Republicans refund these billions of dollars for overseas DEI projects? I mean, what is gained by that? I mean, these are things the Republicans ran on that said they were going to stop. And I think Americans are pretty much in their corner on that. Sounds like this is maybe more of a messaging war than anything. And Republicans need to get the message out better.
It is a messaging war. I think the Republicans are actually doing a better job this time than they normally do on messaging. But yeah, I mean, so what if they give in, then suddenly the media is going to be, clapping like seals for them and saying what great, how great the Republican Party and Donald Trump are? No, that's not going to happen. It's not going to change. No, they need to do what they've said they were going to do. They need to stand firm and keep talking about it the way they're talking about it. And, I recognize the Democrats are in a tight spot. So maybe this was the only thing they felt they could do. But this is on them.
Susie, the FBI agents who were photographed kneeling at the George Floyd demonstrations were fired over the weekend. Their defense, they're saying that they weren't kneeling in solidarity with the protesters. They were simply kneeling to try to tamp down the tensions. Are you buying that?
Well, no. But we have to kind of, I want to be charitable here. We have to go back in time 5 years and remember that at that point in time, there were a lot of people on both sides of the aisle. It wasn't just one side politically that were very disturbed by what happened there. And were trying to show that they weren't okay if this person was restrained improperly and killed as a result of it. And there was a genuine, I think, from the heart effort on on the part of a lot of people to kind of say, we don't want to see this sort of thing happen. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how anyone could say, so you're saying you're the preeminent law enforcement agency of the United States, and you're so scared of the American population that you're faking that you care about something just so they won't be mad. And I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Susie, we know that you've been closely covering events in the Middle East, especially since the horrific events of October the 7th, 2023. Susie, what do you think about the talks today that emanated from the White House regarding the Gaza deal? On one hand, there's a deal. On the other hand, it sounds like Donald Trump and Netanyahu are basically coming in with a very strong upper hand and saying, take it or leave it. What say you?
Well, I do think it's a strong plan. I think it's taken tremendous effort, not just by the United States and Israel, but by a number of other countries, as President Trump pointed out when he was talking about it this afternoon. This involved buy-in from, countries throughout the Arab world. And they needed that so that Hamas doesn't really have any place to turn. They don't really have anybody in their corner that's going to say, oh, you don't really have to take that deal. We got you. I mean, maybe Iran, but Iran's kind of isolated now too. And I think that they do have the ability to say, look, I mean, this deal is giving the remaining Hamas terrorists, fighters, whatever you want to call them, it's giving them the option to live. If they don't want to agree to it, if they don't want to return the hostages and lay down their arms and take this deal that's really for the benefit of the people that are living in Gaza right now, they're the ones who are going to benefit from this the most if they can get this peace deal worked out, and then they're starting to get the aid and they're starting to get the economic buy-in from all these countries. So theoretically, as the quote-unquote elected leadership of Gaza, you would think that they should want to do what's in the best interest of the people that live there. But, but yeah, I mean, I think Bibi Netanyahu was very, very clear about this. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. The easy way is you get a deal that allows you to live. The hard way, not so much.
Susie, Supreme Court justices today gathered for a private conference to decide whether or not to review Ghislaine, I think that's her name, Maxwell's challenge to her sex trafficking convictions. Your thoughts on that as a former practicing attorney?
So my thoughts on that are, they're limited because I didn't follow her trial that closely, and I haven't dug into the legal arguments that are being made on her behalf. Now, keep in mind, this was all going on before Trump was even took office again. So this isn't so much about the quote unquote Epstein files, yada, yada, yada. It's gotten tied into that because there was an effort by the DOJ to go talk with her and see if she had additional information that could shed additional light on it. And people are kind of conflating the thing. But, her case was tried in, I want to say 2021. She appealed it. This has been part of the appeal process all along. And I don't know how strong that argument is. I also don't, I could be wrong about this, but my suspicion is that they met today for a conference to go over a number of cases.
Yes, not just
that
hers.
just happens
Correct.
to be one of them. So they're going to be looking at it, and they're going to make a decision. And I don't have a good feel for what that decision is going to be because, as I said, I haven't really delved into what are her legal arguments that are being made.
Speaking to Susie Moore of Red State, redstate.com. She's also the host of Red State Radio, which is heard every Sunday here at 4 p.m. at News Talk STL. Susie, are you, have you been, I know Red State is covering this. I was just wondering how much you're paying attention to the off-year elections, which, could be a harbinger of things to come, maybe not. Specifically, Virginia and New Jersey. Chris and I heard some amazing poll that came out last week showing the New Jersey governor's race is tied because some scandalous stuff has come out there. I know the Virginia race is very tight with Winsome Sears, the lieutenant governor, running against Abigail Spanberger, the congresswoman. What little nuggets, tidbits have you heard from either of those races?
There's been some pretty important shifting in both of those races. Yes, the New Jersey race is probably the more winnable one for the Republican.
Amazing.
Jack Ciattarelli he's a pretty strong candidate, and New Jersey is one of those states that they'll kind of fought back and forth between Republican and Democratic governors. Is it Mikey Sherrill or Mickey Sherrill? I can never remember how she pronounces it.
I think it's
Mikey. She's really stepped in it quite a bit lately, and there's all this stuff kind of coming out that doesn't look good for her. So it may be, from a timing perspective, that it's working to the benefit of the Republican candidate, and I wouldn't be at all surprised to see him pull that one out. Virginia's going to be a tougher lift because you have to remember, of course, all of Northern Virginia is pretty much very liberal and very anti-Trump and anti-Republican. So that's a heavy lift for Winsome Sears, and she didn't really seem to kind of hit the ground running with her campaign, but she seems to have found her stride now. And she came out with a very powerful ad this morning, I think, against Spanberger, because there's all these clips of Spanberger encouraging her audience to channel their rage. And with everything that's been going on, that's probably the rhetoric that people don't want their politicians to be using. And the ad is, I encourage you to check it out. The ad is very, very powerful. And, I know that there's probably going to be some more investment in that race. It could be pretty close. If I had to pick between the two, which one I think is more likely to go Republican, I think it's the New Jersey one, but I'd love to see both of them.
Yeah, Winsome Sears has been getting some traction with this boys and girls sports issue. That is kind of narrowed the race for her. One last question I want to ask you. Your thoughts on the revelation over the weekend that the superintendent of the Des Moines schools is an illegal alien.
Well, first of all, I was a little concerned to learn that he was an administrator in St. Louis public schools.
Oh, was he?
From
I didn't hear that
2015 to 2018. Yeah. Yeah. The more people dig into this guy's background, the more it's like no one actually dug into his background. They just took it at face value and said, hey, look, this guy's going to be great. We're going to have him, give him all this authority and power. And it's going to be great for our school district. Well, that's a problem. It's very disconcerting. If I were, someone who was in charge of selecting, district superintendents and administrators for a school district, I would be making sure that our procedures were revamped so that we were doing a better vetting of our candidates and not running into a situation like this.
Yeah, no kidding, indeed. Susie, thanks for everything. We'll continue to follow you throughout the week at SmoozyQ on Twitter X, redstate.com. And then, of course, we got Red State Radio every Sunday at 4 p.m. Susie, thanks for everything you do for all of us here at News Talk STL.
Thanks, Susie.
Thanks, guys. Have a great evening.
Mm-hmm.
You as well. All right, man, just like that. Quick Monday show. That's the way we like it. Get over the doldrums from the comeback from the weekend. 5:45 in the PM. When we come back, we have a jam-packed segment, Chris, featuring you're going to speak about a particular topic.
There are
indeed.
5,000 new words that have been added to the Merriam-Webster's College Dictionary. We'll go over a few of those.
5,000.
And
my goodness,
new tariffs are been announced, and they affect Joey.
Indeedy. Plus, Larry Connors USA. It's got John Laboutier and lots of other great topics and guests as well. We'll prep you for that and more when we return. 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. More mild mornings and warm to hot afternoons. A low of 66 Tuesday morning. Mostly sunny skies and a hot one again. A high of 89. The record is 93 from 1952. We'll have light winds with that sunshine, though, and another dry day. And the dry weather continues for Wednesday, but we do see a little more cloud cover Wednesday, partly to mostly cloudy. That'll help bring the temperatures down just a little bit, 86 for the high. Still a warm and above normal day for Wednesday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
What is causing autism? Something has to be causing autism. It can't just be genetic. We'll talk to Randy Tobler about that Tuesday at 11:05.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
When it comes to banking, I don't want to deal with some big out-of-state conglomerate where you're just an account number. I want folks who actually know my name, who get this community, who are invested right here in St. Louis. That's why I've been banking with Royal Banks for over 20 years. They've been around for 60 years, helping families and businesses like yours right here in St. Louis. They've just opened a brand new headquarters in University City right there at Oliver and McKnight, bringing their home base back to where it all started. Oh, and here's some big news. On September 17th, the Federal Reserve cut interest rates for the first time this year. That could be a great chance to look at refinancing or other options, and Royal Banks can walk you through what makes the most sense for you. They've got 16 locations across St. Louis, St. Charles, Illinois, and Northeast Missouri, and they're still locally owned, independent, and here to stay. Check them out at royalbanksofmo.com, royalbanksofmo.com. Royal Banks, Missouri, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-6766. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Follow Chris Arps on Twitter at Chris_Arps.
Can I kick it? Yes, you can. Can I kick it? Yes, you can. Can I kick it? Yes, you can. Can I kick it?
Well, taking direct aim at the Hollywood film industry. In a post this morning, President Donald Trump posting this on his Truth Social platform, saying our movie-making business has been stolen by other countries. He goes on to say, quote, California, with its weak and incompetent governor, has been particularly hard hit. Therefore, he says, in order to solve this long-time, never-ending problem, I will be imposing a 100% tariff on any and all movies that are made outside of the U.S. Well, Governor Newsom's office firing back early this morning on a social media post saying, quote, the governor tried to explain this to Trump months ago when this was initially proposed, that his actions will cause irreparable damage to the U.S. film industry. This move is 100% stupid.
5:49 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arp show, and you hear that President Trump will suggested imposing a 100% tariff on all movies that are made outside of the United States. Tim, I'm trying to figure out, how does this work? How do you put a tariff on movie? I'm not trying to be flippant or anything. I'm just, how does that work?
Maybe our resident movie expert, producer Joey V, can help us out here. What are they?
Joey, how do you put a tariff
What are
on
they
a
going
movie?
to tariff? The production cost or something? Or
You can't put a tariff on a movie.
Yeah. I mean,
Is that simple?
It's that simple. I mean, Trump starts from way crazy high and then
Right,
somewhere they meet
right,
in the middle. But
yeah, what's he
what
trying to
you need to
accomplish here?
do
More
is
movies in America?
incentives. You don't want to tax something. You want to do incentives, more like rebates for filming in America is what you'd want.
And I ask, what if you're filming a movie that is based on Vietnam or something, and you go to the Philippines or somewhere where you need a tropical setting? Does that count as making the movie outside of the United States, even though you need a kind of tropical setting to do that? Does that count within the
I'm
tariff?
sure there's a lot of fine print on this, and they probably, he would, like Joey said, he's probably trying to encourage, in the backhanded way, more investment in film production here. Like maybe you could do other venues, but like maybe 15 to 20% of it would have to be done here. And I'm thinking, Chris, about movies like epics, right? Like Lord of the Rings. Okay, the Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit story, right?
Yeah.
They did that in New Zealand because they needed a place that looked like that world.
Exactly.
And I don't know that we have that here in the U.S. I mean, we've got some beautiful places, and maybe they could do it in some parts out west, maybe. But sometimes, like you said, you need scenery that fits the mood of the place, and we may not be able to recreate it all here.
And I think ultimately, he's just trolling Governor Newsom just to get under
Probably
his
that
skin
too.
and to have him have a back and forth with him. I think that's what this ultimately is. I think the president understands it'd be very difficult to put a 100% tariff on a movie.
He's probably trying to ding Newsom ahead of
so.
2028.
I think so.
Yeah.
It does
You
make
have
me
a thought
think
there,
of
sir?
Full Metal Jacket when Stanley Kubrick didn't want to leave London. He just lived there and he thought, I'm making a Vietnam movie. Let's just fly in some palm trees.
Is that what they did?
They just started planting some palm trees that they flew in. They found a bombed out factory and then planted a bunch of trees, and then they made one of the greatest Vietnam movies ever.
I didn't know that. Joy, I learned something today. Thank you so much. I told you about the Merriam-Webster's Collegiate Dictionary. They've added 5,000 new words for their 12th edition. It's the first hardcover update in more than 20 years. Some of the terms added, Tim.
Yes, let me know.
Cold brew. You would
Okay.
think that would already be in there.
Yeah.
Doom scroll. That's what I do late at night when I can't go to bed.
Who
And
doesn't?
It's like 2:00 in the morning. It's like, I know I need to go to bed, but I'm caught up in these reels. Another one, I've never heard of this. Petrichor or petrichor, Petrichor, which is the pleasant smell of a much needed rain. Petrichor. Have you ever heard of that, Joey? Petrichor?
That was just on an episode of Celebrity Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Okay.
Our friend Jimmy Kimmel. And Ken Jennings was asked that question, and he got it right. He ended up winning $1 million. Him and Matt Damon were playing together.
For petrichor.
For petrichor.
Have you ever heard of that word before?
No, not before
Have
that.
you, Tim, ever heard of
No,
petrichor?
I have not.
Excellent. All right, Tim, I've got a presidential trivia question for you. You know,
Okay,
I
here we
ask
go.
you these from time to time. Which two former presidents rafted wild rivers in the American West while in office? I'll give you a hint. One of them is modern. One of them, well, actually, both of them are modern presidents.
Modern presidents.
Yes.
Grafted
Through
in
the American West.
Okay.
I'll give you another hint. They're both Democrats.
Okay. Bill Clinton.
Very good.
Okay. He seems like a wild
Yeah.
child. Bill Clinton.
The next one you may not get.
And Jimmy Carter.
Ding, 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 ding.
No way!
Tim Jones gets the prize. Yes. Both Jimmy Carter and Bill Clinton rafted through the rivers during their administrations. Carter floated the Middle Fork of Idaho's Salmon River while in office during his family vacation in 1978. And Clinton went whitewater rafting, probably a bad term for him. Remember whitewater scandal, in Wyoming's Snake River, south of Jackson through the Big Kahuna Rapids. Very good, Tim. Very good.
Yeah.
I got to get you a prize or something.
You know what? They were Democrats, but they were kind of guys you could see doing that or having a beer with or had a picnic or
I could see that.
They were like people you could have a conversation with. Today's Democrat leaders, I'm talking the leaders,
Beta males.
They're
beta males.
Or they're lunatics.
Exactly.
Or they're lunatics. And Chris, you wouldn't want to spend 5 minutes with them,
No.
much less a couple hours on a raft.
Exactly. One more trivia question, presidential trivia. Former President James Garfield, did you know this, started his career as a classics professor at Western Reserve Eclectic Institute, later renamed Hiram College, and became its president within the same year. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yes, he was I know Woodrow Wilson. Wasn't he the president of Princeton?
I think
at
so.
one time, yeah. Like I know conservatives, me included, are not very fans of Woodrow Wilson.
Big
He was a
racist,
racist. He
too.
was. That's what I was going
Yeah.
to say. He was a racist as well.
And Chris, there's two reasons to look. Okay. Let me try to be a good Chris. I'm trying to be better.
There you go.
We're not supposed to hate anybody,
Yes.
right? Two good reasons to despise. Can we despise
Yes, you
Woodrow
can
Wilson?
despise.
He was a known racist,
Mhm.
a serious racist
Yes.
Democrat, and he gave us the income tax.
Yep.
So two reasons to not like Woodrow Wilson.
And a little presidential trivia. I think he had a stroke or something during his presidency, and his wife was basically the president.
Oh, like
for about a year.
Kind of
So
FDR.
that's
yeah.
some pleasant trivia. All right. Did you guys know that a chunk of brick that was stolen from Boston's famous Old North Church mysteriously returned? Has visitors wondering if it might be cursed. The old red brick is now the newest display in the historic site's crypt. In March, Old North Church staff received an anonymous package from San Jose, California, containing only a brick and a cryptic note, quote, "My husband took this from the crypt. We have had a string of bad luck, and we want to return the brick."
Oh,
That's
Joey sounds like a horror movie, like in the making, you know?
Exactly. MSNBC and 10 other television channels from CNBC to the Golf Channel are splitting from NBC over the next several weeks to form a new digital-focused, publicly traded company called Versant. I think I've got that right. So MSNBC is losing all of their cable channels there, it looks like. And they're
Good.
splitting it into another channel. And Chinese President Xi Jinping told the UN would cut greenhouse gas emissions across its economy by at least 7% by 2035.
Oof.
I'm not buying that
Such
at
a
all.
big
Yeah,
goal, too.
yeah.
Woo, reaching for the stars.
7%. All right. That is the end of the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. Next is Larry Connors USA, up next at 6. He's going to talk about Senator Schumer saying that Trump weaponized the Justice Department like no other president. I guess he forgot Joe Biden. And never Trumper John LaBoutier joins the show. That's Larry Connors USA. Up next, you have been listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. Drive safe and have a great evening.
Fall is here, and Daniel's Farm and Greenhouse has everything you need to make your yard shine. From vibrant mums and fall blooms to pumpkins, gourds, and seasonal containers that will make your neighbors jealous. Need trees, shrubs, or vegetables? We've got you covered with 15 greenhouses of full quality plants,